good coaches understand that we all need good coaching.
Your conscious awareness that we are, sentient human beings and we do have choice.
So that's the advantage of a coach or consultant coming in. They can see those things.
Awareness is this beautiful, peaceful, loving undercurrent.
You should help people tell their stories.
That real human connection has never been any more important.
The work is ongoing.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Wow, we got Paul, Nadine, Kristen. Nice to see you guys.
Hi.
Ashely is with me. Hi, Ashely.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hey, how's the weather over there?
So I'm getting outer band winds here in South Florida from 2 hurricanes, but no rain or anything. It's just, it's the bark is worse than the bite.
All right. And you still have internet, which is good for us, right?
Yeah. I strategically live in an area of Florida that's very rarely affected.
Smart. Hey, Val, what's up? Nice to see everybody here. For those of you who don't already know, this is Tilted Bench, the show I do every week, Wednesdays at noon Eastern. We talk with coaches about coaching, the work, what it does, what it accomplishes, why it's important. And I am super happy to have Ashely. And I meant to ask you this before we started, but I didn't. How do you pronounce your last name?
We could just go with Pereira.
Pereira. Okay. I'm guessing there's more to that story, but we'll go with Pereira.
Yeah. I used to do the Portuguese version and I was like, no one can do that.
We're just not up to it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ashely, for being with us. I am so grateful to have you here. Can you kick us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and what kind of work you do?
Thanks. Yeah. So for those who don't know me, which I'm so excited to be sharing this platform and meeting so many new, incredible, wonderful people I've already connected with. My name is Ashely Pereira. I am a personal brand and business strategist and coach. I focus on empowering women and survivors of trauma to thrive and up-level their lives as far as their personal, professional, financial, and mental health. And I also am the founder of a clean skincare line dedicated to bettering the mental health of abuse and assault survivors through our Self-Care Packs for Survivors program.
That is awesome work, Ashely. I'm glad that you're out there doing that. I know a lot of folks in the audience are going to be too. Bridget, glad you made it. Sam, hi. Sam has a podcast about trauma that she just launched yesterday called Phoenix Forged. So,
oh my gosh, congrats,
you guys will
Sam.
have to talk about that. Yeah. Everybody should check that out too. Mm-hmm. Well, today our title, everybody, is Ready to Rise: Empowering Womanpreneurs. Ashely, do you want to tell us about kind of the two sides of that? What is it about being a womanpreneur? What does that mean? And then what's specific about the work of empowering them specifically?
Yeah. So the word womanpreneur, honestly, is just something that has been pounding in the forefront of my brain for a very long time. One of those voices that, like, we all have these voices in our head, right? That we tend to ignore, and it's pounding and you're like, be quiet. Like, I'm not ready for that. I don't want to do it. And this word womanpreneur just like it kept pounding in my head as I was in my own like really deep, genuine self-discovery phase over the last couple of years. I started my own trauma healing from my child sexual abuse and failed suicide attempts. I started my trauma healing 8 years ago. And through my trauma healing, which has been very challenging, it's a lifelong journey that I'm on anyone who has experienced trauma understands and knows that this is a lifelong journey that we continue to evolve and deepen our healing through. And all the way through my healing, I have always genuinely wanted to help other people who have been in my shoes, whether it was as a child going through that abuse, neglect, mental abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, assault as an adult, a young adult in college, which a lot of us women go through. About 50% of women that is reported in the United States experience assault in their life. As children, 1 in 6 girls and 1 in 4 boys experience child sexual abuse before they turn 18. And depression and anxiety are 2 of the highest forms of mental health issues in the United States, but in the world as well. So, right, looking at these numbers, like I know other people are going through these things. And I'm experiencing not healing from it and lack of resources and not seeing anyone to go to and being told to be silent and be quiet. And as a woman, on top of this, we're unfortunately told since we're little girls to look pretty and to keep our opinions to ourselves. And yes, this is a blanket statement. I can get into this on my own podcast. But on top of being silenced during my abuse and being a woman and fighting my way to get to the big boys table in the business world, it's hard being able to find someone who's willing to speak up for you or show you the way, because as women, our opportunities have it feels like they've been lessened. So a lot of the times we scrape and claw for whatever we can get and we feel like we can't help others. But I've really wanted this. I've almost longed for wanting to have that community. And because I couldn't find it, I decided to create it. So the last several years, going from deeper into my mental health journey and quitting toxic jobs, leaving toxic bosses, leaving toxic partners, and deciding I'm going to do things for me and I'm going to empower others in the process by just doing what I want. And that's what I decided to do. And this word womanpreneur just kept screaming at me in the back of my mind. And it's just stuck with coming out with the Womanpreneur Lab later in September and so many other things that are just looped into it. And I love this word. I love the word womanpreneur. I love the word empower.
The 2 things that strike me about everything that you've said. One is that, we do have statistics and they point to these things that have happened, but how many stories haven't been told? How many are there how many are there that we don't know about, that are quietly listening and waiting for hope from seeing somebody else like you come out and share your story in a way that empowers them to speak up too. And then that process of you speaking to them makes me think of something that I've heard people say about when you're training people in business and through a career path, especially. Often what's helpful is to think about somebody who's a few steps earlier in the journey than you, or think about yourself from a few steps ago and to try and talk back to that. But for women, when you're facing this kind of uphill struggle against a world that's dominated by dudes like me, it's not just looking back a little bit, it's looking back down a whole lifetime of experiences.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a different world that we live in, right? The one that we live in inside of our brains, because we're naturally emotional creatures anyway. The way that we think is with empathy, with emotion. We like to feel our decisions, but that's also what makes us the best leaders, which has also been proven through studies. If we look at the countries that are led by women, the businesses that are led by women, they are more successful than the ones that are not led by women. And it's because we leverage what we originally thought were weaknesses, right? Our empathy, our feelings, our emotions, those things that we've been told to like keep down. The whole point of me talking and starting the Womanpreneur Lab and the other coaching and the things that I do is really to let you get in touch and make friends with those perceived weaknesses and empower yourself through them and turn them into the reason why you will succeed. I believe we all have the power to do that, and we do, and it's proven that we're able to gain higher revenues. The economy does better when we allow ourselves to lead, ladies. There are so many studies for years now, and it's incredible because we've only had this quote unquote permission to do a lot of these things for only the last 50 years compared to our male counterparts that have had centuries to make a difference in finances and business and the home. We're doing fantastic.
You are. I mean, there's this kind of generational knowledge that happens with underrepresented or under empowered communities where the parents, the grandparents are able to pass down knowledge and experience in a way that it depends on your background. And for women, that's going to be tricky because if the experience and the timeline hasn't been there the way it has for white men, then it's going to be a very different experience. When you are thinking about the ways that you're using your own experience to inform like clients that you're working with, what are some of the favorite topics that you use to get you started on that path?
So it's really interesting because it wasn't until recently where I really started focusing on these elements of empowering your weaknesses and leveraging them to succeed. It's something that I realized over the last 12 years as a business and marketing strategist and a personal brand coach that every client that I start working with, I spend about 3/4 of my time diving into the feelings behind everything that haven't been touched yet. And right, whether it's the company brand or the individual brand, it's always really like laser focusing in on the why, which goes down to emotions and personal beliefs and things that have impacted and affected our lives. And it's just kind of been woven in naturally into my strategy and to my process. Okay, let's go through our 7 layers of why before we get started with anything. And let's go through this step of our brand strategy and then our finances and our content strategy for whatever it is that we're talking about. And I don't even know when this happened, but sometime in the last 14, 15 months, it just clicked for me like, everyone's missing this, right? Like, why don't I just start talking about the fact that we all ignore this thing, which is our feelings, because we're told to compartmentalize. And when I get to actually talking with someone, a prospect or a client, I don't really have to bring up anything on the front end because I am outspoken, right? I have no problem talking about taboo topics. I have no problem talking about things that people don't typically want to talk about, right? The ugly things or the boring things or the yuck. So when I do get to meet with someone, it's more of, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you said this. How do you apply this, right? And it really all goes back to emotions and saying, when you're connected with your why, when you're connected with your core of everything, business is hard. Careers are hard. They're going to become mundane at some point in time. You're going to want to quit because everything is challenging. And if it's not challenging, it's not worth it. And you're in the wrong room, right? You're on the wrong path. But everything that you do is going to be challenging. And the thing that's going to push you through it is understanding that core why, your core values, your emotions around it, where it stems from, why you started in the first place. That's my core messaging. And just saying, like, if and when we learn to leverage these emotions, that's when we succeed because it goes into everything that we do. And people connect with people. We have real conversations.
That's one of the themes that on the show that I tried to capture by including Ashely's little bit and Ashely Griffiths, not you actually, in the intro where he talks about the human connection, the one-on-one connection. There's so much of this that, you could read about it online, but to have one-on-one conversations, that's a different level. Like, it allows for a certain bit of spontaneity. And, like you and I were talking about before we went live, like when you are having these conversations in the moment, as opposed to something pre-recorded, you get a connection that just runs a lot deeper.
Yeah. And why not? Like, we're humans. We naturally crave to bond with other people. We come from family units, right? Even animals are the same. All mammals are the same, right? We are family units. We run in packs, we run together, and it's because we naturally crave that connection. So denying it just sets other things off balance, and we don't deserve that. That's when things like burnout or depression or right going into suicide attempts and really going to the other side of these emotions that we're feeling, that's when they start to come into play, is when we think, oh, I can put this over here and that over there and just focus here. It does not work that way. It's not sustainable.
Well, there's a real trickiness for the entrepreneurial journey that we talk about on LinkedIn. It's a regular topic, right? About how being an entrepreneur is a different path from working a W-2. It's different than chasing a career. You and I were talking earlier also about this thing where you have to wear all these hats. I commented on one of Caitlin Richards' posts the other day, and she said something about, yes, since I started becoming an entrepreneur, my closet is now full of different hats that I have to wear, right?
Yeah.
So not only do you have the loneliness of being an entrepreneur, but now as a womanpreneur, you have this situation where you're not always heard in the workplace. So how does that play into, like, with one-on-one coaching, like you being that companion and providing that outlet for companionship? An outlet, I mean, it's not an out, it's more of an in thing, but what does that feel like?
So I have recently decided to change my service model. I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching over the year. And for me, being an individual that I highly value myself at this point, I am so proud of myself for getting to this point in my journey over the last 8 years of saying, like, I am going to put myself first and I am going to champion this mindset and practice what I preach. So if I'm telling others you need to fill your cup first before you dig into the well to help others, I need to do that. So I did make the decision recently because of the people who I help, they have naturally come from some type of trauma experience, which is interesting. It just shows that when you are who you are, the right people are attracted to you. The right people will want to work with you. But a lot of them have had traumas in their lives. And I realized that doing the one-on-one work was very detrimental for my own mental health. But I still want to be able to provide those resources and my personality and my learnings and my resources and tools that I've created. So I've recently changed, starting in September, to a hybrid group coaching model on top of changing all of my consulting and one-on-one coaching experience into courses, depending on where a woman or a trauma survivor is at in their journey, right? If they are just at the beginning of their healing journey, that's where my skincare line comes into play with the self-care packs for survivors. And there's affirmation books to help you get started on thinking the right way. If you are in your career, there is my co-created career brand workshop that I co-created with Lindsay Dowd called Sell Me Your Story Workshop, where it really helps you hone in on who you are as a person, how to leverage your experiences to empower your career and up-level your career. And then I have, for those who are looking to start businesses, my launch business boot camp, which is a 30-day digital workshop that walks you through the 4 pillars of foundation for starting a new business. And it works in making sure that I'm coaching you the way that you need to be coached as a woman or as a trauma survivor, understanding the emotions that you're going through, doubting yourself, the imposter syndrome, the anxiety behind putting yourself out there. And then the Womanpreneur Lab, which is going to be a 6-month mastermind community style group coaching there's still going to be a one-on-one feel in there because there will be mini pods so that you're creating true community with genuine like-minded people, right? They come from trauma. They are women. Maybe they're moms. They've experienced the sexism in the workplace or sexism in business or lack of knowledge and understanding funding opportunities and how your mental health plays into your business and your finances. I have absolutely hit rock bottom in my finances, and I went through bankruptcy 5 years ago. So I'm okay with showing you like I genuinely get you, and I think it's really important to connect with a coach or a service provider that truly understands why you think the way you do, but can also translate your goals into the transition and the transformation that you need to go through in systematic steps to get there.
Yeah, I think it's important to think about. A lot of folks think about coaching and they don't think about that. You have to have long-term goals, like you are trying to get somewhere. You're not just trying to suss things out. You want to figure things out so that you can move forward. Do you have clients that have been with you for a long time? Like, do you have clients who have moved through multiple kind of phases of these programs with you?
So for the last 15 months, I've been doing a lot of betas. And it's interesting because I had a really great discussion with a fellow female entrepreneur the other day about starting your businesses, and she does the same thing that I do in terms of setting founders up for success through foundational teachings and business and marketing strategy. And we were talking about how people miss the mark and typically fail in their businesses in either the first 1, 3, or 5 years. This is the highest fail rate if you look up the statistics online, right, for the United States we're talking about. But most businesses fail on those year marks because they don't have the proper foundation. But in year one, you should be doing a lot of beta. And that's what I've been doing, right? Last year marked my year one as going back into entrepreneurship. I've taken on coaching clients as far as like personal brand throughout the years. And typically, right, I set them up for foundation. I give them a path to go along, right? A map to get to their goal. And then I move on. And that's because I am focused on foundation. But right now, with the programs that I've been betaing and the conversations I've had with other women, with trauma survivors, with entrepreneurs, the individuals who have gone through my beta programs to get to where I'm launching now, I've realized, okay, I want to walk them through their journey from the beginning of their mental health and understanding how important it is for their finances and for their business, to helping them start their business the right way, to helping them elevate their business and stay aligned holistically with the other areas of their life. So now I do have a couple of individuals that have walked through these betas with me, and they have been so incredible as far as like really giving me the questions and the insights that I need to understand from someone who is a couple steps behind me. Because it is so important for us to do betas, y'all. Like, if you're a coach, if you're a business owner, if you're looking to start a new offer or a digital product, it is so important to have a beta and to have individuals who you can trust and who are like really into giving you feedback, because this sets up the future of your businesses and your messaging, right? If you don't have the right messaging and positioning, you're not going to be able to reach your audience. And if you're not doing betas and getting feedback and really having conversations with those that are getting through it, you're not going to be able to figure out, okay, who is my ideal audience? How do they communicate? What stage are they at as far as the offers I want to give? These few people, they're women, they're trauma survivors, they have like barely started their healing journeys. So they were able to take the foundational things from my 30 Days of Affirmations book through my skincare line. I sent them self-care packs for survivors. They joined my my launch 30-day boot camp to start their businesses. They are like, they've been helping me design the Womanpreneur Lab as well as the Empowerment Planner, which the Womanpreneur Lab, everyone who enters it gets a copy of my empowerment planner, because this walks you through really understanding the holistic nature of like powering planning through your life and not getting tired and avoiding burnout. It has helped me to like just see everything so clearly. And they're coming into the lab with me. So if you're joining the lab, they're going to be in there. And I'm excited to be able to start creating this community of women who we can support each other through every stage that we're at, in the lab, outside of the lab, help to increase awareness for our businesses, step on each other's platforms and stages, and help each other. Because even someone who looks like they do the same thing as you, I promise you, they are not your competition. They are your sister, they're your friend, they're the reason why we're going to be successful hand in hand. People are going to be attracted to them differently because of their personality, the things they say, the way that they do things. And that's the whole purpose of the Womanpreneur Lab.
I love that. Everybody, we're under 5 minutes, so we got just a little bit left. I want to try and catch Nadine's question, and I want to ask real quick, Ashely. So the Womanpreneur Lab is a group program, or it's just an open community that anybody's allowed to come into?
The Womanpreneur Lab specifically is going to be an application invite only closed group for entrepreneurial women survivors of trauma. So it's closed because I want to make sure that the right community is being curated. But once you're in the community, you get to stay in the community for support. It is a 6-month program to walk through the 6 pillars of the empowerment planner, on top of business coaching, personal brand coaching. There are experts that will come in monthly, as far as like nutritionists, dietitians, mental health professionals, other business strategists and marketing strategists that I have already spoken to, and they're going to be coming in to do guest training on a monthly basis, but really focusing on the pillars of the empowerment planner and holding that accountability through mini pods that will be set up for making sure that we're helping each other to grow and develop and get more of a personalized coaching. But it's a 6-month program. After you go through it, you can continue, because there will be continued business and personal brand coaching. But the community stays open for anyone who's been in it in the past.
Nice. I know this is a big topic, and we'll try not to get buried and run for too long here. But just quickly, what would you say about this question? You know, there is this question of how much do you charge? There are always going to be people who are going to come in, the naysayers, and they're going to say, this is not worth that much. You need to charge less. How do you respond to that? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I love this question. This is actually one of the first things that I go through in the Launch Business Bootcamp. Module 1 is specifically about a business and financial foundation. And I walk through all of my students and clients, no matter what I'm doing with them. I have a profitability and value calculator. Everyone's lifestyle is different. Everyone's experience and expertise is different. So you should charge based on your value. And the way to calculate that is by looking at how much experience that you have, what you typically make, right? If you're working for an employer, what you typically make hourly versus the things that you do, and the revenue that you bring in, and the revenue that you help your clients bring in. And you base your pricing on your value and the results that you are promising or looking to transform them into. So if someone's offering something for free, that's great for them. They obviously don't have a lifestyle that they need to pay bills. That's not me. I'm not a nonprofit. I'm going to I have to live my life. And I also know the value that I bring to the table. I've made millions of dollars simply through brand strategy that I can track for my previous employers and clients. Millions of dollars that is trackable. I have proof of value, and that's why I charge for my services. I don't charge as much as some people do, because I am focused on foundational. And I'm also focused on a certain mentality. I know the way that women survivors of trauma think, right? There's huge imposter syndrome. There's a lot of fear. There's a lack of confidence. There is a lack of really understanding if something is valuable or not. I'm not going to price something at $333 an hour, which is my calculated value if I'm doing one-on-one coaching. I'm going to lower that value based on how many people is going to be in that program, what I want them to do, where they're at in their journey, and make sure that it makes sense to them too as a new business owner and what they can afford. Everyone is different, but you need to understand how to calculate it.
Everybody clip that out and make that a video to repost. Thank you, Ashely. What's the best way for everybody to reach out to you if they're not already connected?
Yeah, the best way to reach out is either on LinkedIn or on Instagram, Ashely N. Pereira. I'm sure that the link to connect with me too will be in here. You can sign up for my email digest that just started today, and I'm so excited. So that'll be for my closed community where special tips, resources, news, personal things will go out, and I'd love to connect. Like, please, I love coffee chats. I genuinely like getting to know people. I have quotes that I put on my LinkedIn profile yesterday of what people say. Like, I promise you, I just want to get to know you.
Awesome. Last thing we always do, I'm going to let you have the whole screen. This is all yours. And take about a minute or so and give us something that you want us to leave this conversation with. And then we'll come back in and we'll say goodbye. All right. It's all yours.
So I think that if there's one thing that I can leave anyone with, it's that fear will always be there. Your imposter syndrome is always going to be there. Anyone who promises you that you will overcome imposter syndrome or overcome fear is lying to you. It's something that we have for our entire lives. And the thing about fear and imposter syndrome and nervousness is that if you're feeling that, it means that whatever you are looking to do, whatever your goals are, whatever your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions about this thing that you're thinking, if you're feeling that, it's because it's important. And if you stop losing that fear or that imposter syndrome, for me, it is a dead sign that it's no longer important enough for you. It's no longer a priority. And then you should stop and reevaluate the things that you're doing. So if that's my one thing that I can give, it's to understand that you should make fear and imposter syndrome your friend and understand that as long as it's there, what you're doing is important. It's just a matter of getting through it and pushing through it hand in hand.
Awesome. As is so often the case, and everybody who's regular in the audience will know this, the last nugget is not just for the audience, it's one that lands with me. So thank you, Ashely, so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the time being here. Everybody, thanks for showing up. We appreciate that you spent the time with us today. Hope everybody has a great Wednesday, and I hope I get to see you again next week.
Thanks so much.